Welcome to Pody Says Malicious Compliance, where people conform to the letter, but not the spirit of the request. Lazy group member wants us to do his part? Sure thing. I just finished a big group project with about 30% of our total grade. The groups were selected for us, so I didn't know anyone beforehand. So like any other group project, there's always a slacker who just piggybacks off of everyone else's work. This project spanned the entire length of the term, and this slacker just did the absolute bare minimum or nothing at all for each of our deliverables. So here comes the end of the term, and we have to submit our final report, which had to include a video demo of our app, and this made up a significant portion of the marks. Of course, the slacker puts it off till the last possible minute to tell us he's not home and will be busy the day of submission. Our group was planning to record the last day because the rest of the project had to be finished to demo it. So obviously, I'm pissed because this dude is just being a huge pain. But I tell him, it's all good, man. We'll just cover your part in the demo. He happily agrees as he won't have to do crap once again. Here's the kicker. In the requirements of the demo, every member has to be in the recording or you won't get any marks for that portion. Clearly, this guy didn't read the rubric and so he thinks he's getting a good deal. If you didn't participate in the demo, you got a 0 for that portion. Bet this guy is going to be confused why his marks are so much lower than the rest of us. Iwegian chimes in, you'd better confirm that the lower marks are just for the one member, and not for your entire team. The OP responds, it's definitely just for the one guy because there is a participation section separate from the project grade for each section. The project itself is all done. Farin KM thinks, I always hated group projects. For my technical writing class, all online circa 2003, we had 5 people in our group and 1 was slacking. Nothing overly dramatic happened. The 4 of us talked to the teacher understood and had the 4 of us finish it. We got A's in the class. Don't know about the other person. Why don't you just mind your business? Okay, I will. This is actually my mother-in-law's story, but she doesn't use Reddit. So my mother-in-law was pulling into a parking space at a big blue store, and the person parked in the space in front of her was starting to back out of the spot and had left her cart there. So my mother-in-law went to grab it and just used that for her shopping. The woman had left her wallet in the seat of the cart though, so my mother-in-law flagged her down and got her attention. The woman immediately started going off at my mother-in-law, telling her to mind her business and that the cart was fine where it was. So my mother-in-law decided to take her advice. She told the woman, fine, I'll mind my business. Your wallet will be at customer service. And then walked away. By the time the woman registered what she had said, parked again, and went into the store, my mother-in-law had already dropped the wallet off at customer service, where there was a long line, and warned them that she was pretty nasty. Apparently, when the woman went to get her wallet, she started to make threats and was threatening to call the police if anything was missing. The manager told her she would not be doing that, and that it was her own fault she left the wallet in the cart. Purposely Distracted wanted to chime in with this. I gathered an empty cart at the grocer's and was doing my normal shopping. I heard a cell phone and looked at my own. It wasn't ringing. Looked again, and a gray covered cell phone in the shallow portion of the front of the cart handle was ringing. I answered it. Hello? I've answered a cell that isn't mine. Where are you? That's my husband's phone. I'm beside the eggs in H-E-B in blank. Don't move. I'm outside. Here she comes, literally trotting to my location. I told her, I recognize that panicked gait. Here. She was profusely thankful and commented as she turned, I told him to put his cell in his pocket. No, he has to put it in the cart. She wheeled around and stomped off. Useless rule leads to malicious compliance. This story is from where I used to work at a gym. The owner of the company hired a new operations manager who made everyone miserable. She made rules that made no sense and would not listen to why they were not functional. For example, she made mandatory meetings that we were forced to clock out for. Also, she made a new rule that morning shift employees would be required to work 7 days a week, as opposed to 5 because she really didn't care for my morning shift coworker and myself. One day, she announced a new rule starting that front desk employees would have to go over the intercom twice an hour to remind gym members to put their equipment away. I informed her that everyone wears headphones and would not hear these announcements, and she said she didn't care and to do it anyway. She told our managers to write a script for us to read from, as she believed we were too incompetent to come up with our own way of phrasing it. Well, seeing as this was now required, I told her I would absolutely make these announcements. Twice an hour, I would pick up the intercom phone, and in a very dull, confused voice, I would stumble over the words on the script while sounding out the longer words. it would take me about 45 seconds to read a 2-sentence script. Since she believed I was not very intelligent, I just played dumb and acted like that was the best I could do. My coworker began to do the same thing, realizing she couldn't say we were reading it wrong on purpose. The members of the gym hated this manager and got a good laugh out of our petty antics toward her. Needless to say, we no longer were required to make announcements after 1 week. Neil Simmons wanted to say, "Work you have to clock out for sounds illegal as all get out. 7-day work week sounds like she was trying to force people to quit instead of having to fire them." OP replied, "It was illegal. I actually called her out on it and almost got her fired, which is why she didn't like me." This is less malicious compliance than anal retentive compliance, but I kept my job and the villain got punished. I hope you enjoy it. Sorry, this is really damn long. I formatted the best I could for easy reading. Some years ago, I got a job tankering a barge. A barge is basically a floating container that gets towed around port to port. Tankering means to load it with fuel, or whatever product you carry, and discharge it in another port. There were 2 other tankermen, but we worked 4 weeks on, 2 weeks home. So in my 4 weeks, I'd work 2 weeks with one of the other tankermen, 2 weeks with the other. I was pretty new to tankering, but I'd been working on boats for a few years and enjoyed it. There was little I liked more than getting on a rafty, rusty boat and chipping rust and painting until the boat was looking sharp. But I was a novice tankerman, and this boat was not looking sharp. Rust everywhere. Storerooms a mess, dirty inside and out. The 2 other tankermen were of the opinion that they were tankermen only, meaning they did nothing but tanker the barge, despite their job titles being deckhand/tankerman. They felt chipping, painting was beneath them, and did no other work. Both of them were from down south, one a Cajun, I'll call Gumbo, and a black guy from Mobile, I'll call Darnell. From my first trip, they both took a dislike to me. Darnell mostly because he was lazy and just wanted to hang out on the stern and fish. Once I started busting ass around the ship, he knew he had to start doing something, and he didn't like that. Gumbo, however, he really hated me. He considered himself barge captain, a title that didn't exist except in his mind, and saw me as a threat to his imaginary throne by improving things. It wasn't just the boat. I got all the old load plans out of the places they were cramming them, organized them by fuel amount, and put them in a binder. That way, when the customer said, "Please load 68,840 barrels for us," I could flip to the closest previous load to that amount, and we would see how much to put in each tank to match the amount. As a result, loads started getting closer and closer to the requested amount, making the customer happy. Gumbo and Darnell tended to just wing it. But being new, I was a little anal retentive about doing it properly. When I'm in unfamiliar territory, I tend to be anal retentive to the point of OCD, to make sure I get it right. Also, I really did not want an oil spill on my watch. This went on for months, me getting more and more comfortable with tankering, and annoying the other 2 by organizing storerooms, cleaning, organizing lockers, and generally making the boat a better place. Hell, I was even cooking. Strangely, there weren't too many accolades coming my way, and thanks to the assistant engineer, AE, Jim Bob, I found out why. You see, when Big Boss would come, it would tend to be when I was home. Gumbo and Darnell were bad-mouthing me behind my back, harping on my lack of experience, magnifying small errors, and concern trolling, that they were just trying to be safe. Even worse, all the changes I made, they took credit for. It wasn't Five Frog cleaned out the paint locker, it was, "We got the paint locker cleaned out." Jim Bob often worked extra hitches, and was a witness to everything. Jim Bob was a good guy, but from a poor town in Louisiana, dropped out of high school at 15, and was functionally illiterate. His illiteracy kept him from advancing, and as he was the only crew member to befriend me, I helped him out with his job, showing him all kinds of tips to streamline things, like putting an Excel spreadsheet on his work computer that allowed him to quickly track and monitor fuel lube use. After a while, he began relaying to me what was happening behind my back. His exact words, "You and I are like brothers, so I say you are as a brother. They are out to get you." I kind of figured this was going on, as they had both begun to play the passive-aggressive game we in the industry call playing fuck. So I knew I was odd man out. About this time, one of the barge's pumps went out, and the first thing the mechanic said was it was due to lack of maintenance, meaning tankermen weren't lubing, oiling, or greasing the pumps. At crew change, Big Boss came down to chew us all out, and like a fool, I said I had no idea we were supposed to do these things. Naturally, 100% of the blame came down on me for this, and my response was humility, asking what needed to be done. Big Boss made out a maintenance plan that the pumps would be serviced every 2 weeks, to be done by the tankerman returning, with the log of the work done to be completed. After what Jim Bob told me, I decided to adhere to compliance to the point of obsession. I would know those pumps so well, I could teach a course on them. As I had just returned that day, I went full-on OCD, doing every check, measurement, fluid level twice and logging it all. I asked Jim Bob what kind of grease and how many squirts to use. I counted the squirts and logged them. He had all the grease, so I had to get it from him. I logged all of my maintenance in the logbook. Not only that, Jim Bob had all the grease in the engine room, so I had to get it from him. I logged that too. 1 tube marine grade, number 2345, whatever. Jim Bob and I also went over the pump with a fine-tooth comb and found every one of the grease points. I added that list to the maintenance log. Funnily, I noticed that whenever I came back, the logbook, which was really just a handful of pages set aside in a crappy notebook we kept in the crew area, hadn't been updated since I'd left. It occurred to me I was the whipping boy. Gumbo and Darnell really thought they had me where they wanted me and didn't do fuck all on the barge. Months later, one of the other barges had a minor fire due to overheating about 3 days before I was supposed to arrive. Company hired a third party to check all maintenance fleet-wide, and ours didn't do well. Big Boss came down with notes to ensure we were following the protocol he laid down. Big Boss asked if we'd been doing the required maintenance. At this point, I'd been fucked by the guys for over a year and had calmly practiced my response to any question. When Big Boss asked if we'd been following the protocol, I replied that I did it within a day of my arrival every 6 weeks. Darnell mentioned that the pumps were so dry when he arrived, it looked like they ain't been greased in months. I replied that I could guarantee they'd been greased at least once every 6 weeks, as I was the one that greased them. Then Darnell made the mistake of saying something that set the whole situation aflame. Okay, well if you say you've been doing maintenance, okay, they just look to me like they're starved for oil. Me. I get them the day I get back every time. I even log my work. Do you?
Log it? Where? Where do you log it?
Drunk-ass captain.
I ain't never got a request to log anything.
In the maintenance log Big Boss requested months ago.
What? What log is that?
The logbook tended to be ignored by the other two, and usually, when I got back, it was buried under newspapers and XXX mags. I walked up to the tray, underneath the TV, and pulled it out. I casually flipped to the maintenance log section and showed them the places I had logged the work I'd done. As an added bonus, I actually started an entry for the next guy, so all he had to do was fill in numbers, stuff like name, date, serviced, hours run, oil amount added, filter changed, yes, no. Naturally, it was all blank. As an added bonus, I had made sure to not wash my hands before log entries, so I couldn't be accused of pencil whipping due to the greasy fingerprints. I sat quietly while Big Boss, Gumbo, Darnell, and the captain read the maintenance log, consisting of my entries and my entries only. Me and Jim Bob just watched each other, expressionless. Both Gumbo and Darnell tried to cover for each other, claiming they'd seen the other doing the required maintenance, but Big Boss was no dummy.
Where'd you get the grease and filters from? I see no record of transfer from the engine room to the barge.
Darnell said,
Well, we get the grease from Jim Bob all the time. I've asked for at least 4 or 5 tubes, ain't I, Jim Bob?
All eyes on Jim Bob. Jim Bob did the most amazing thing. Scowling at Darnell, he stood up, threw his coffee cup in the trash, and walked the 20 feet to his cabin. The slamming of the door was like a judge's gavel coming down. I took the dark path. Big Boss, I'm sorry for any problems. After what happened in April, I have been obsessed with ensuring the pumps were properly maintained on my watch. I am happy to show you where all 17 grease spots are and my routine for servicing them. I know the pumps backwards and forwards at this point.
Five Frog, that won't be necessary. I've seen all I need to.
He snapped the logbook shut and told the captain,
We'll talk later,
and disembarked the vessel without another word. There's no sexy ending here. Gumbo got transferred to the punishment boat, the worst barge in the fleet, and got written up for arguing with that captain on his first goddamn hitch, last I heard. We got a new tankerman, bizarrely a cousin of Darnell's, but I was pretty confident at this point and took the lead in training him. Darnell was a always be on the winning team kind of guy and let me take the lead. We wound up with a pretty good crew, hard-working, hard partying, just how I like it. When they hired a new captain, he was a guy that had come up with the big boss, which is why he got the job. And he told Big Boss, "You know, Five Frog is about the only guy worth the shit on here." I still have the eval he wrote for me. It's on my damn LinkedIn page. Jinja Ninja says, "Love it, but I disagree with your title. It's absolute malicious compliance. The fact you also left a template entry for them knowing full well they wouldn't fill it in is what makes it. Always cover your ass." PRman99 says, "Similar thing happened in my programming shop. Guy did nothing, but had the ear of management, so he took credit for everything. One day the director comes to me and asks, 'If Dustin is doing all this stuff, what are you doing?' I opened the source control and said, 'Here are all the check-in logs. Dustin has one for the last 9 months. So the real question is, what has Dustin been doing? And you're a programmer. You probably should have checked this before coming to talk with me. Thank you. Thank you very much.' 2 months later, he came and asked if I could do the job without Dustin. I said, 'I already am.' Try to pile on more work to increase your bonus? Not gonna happen. I oversee a team of 12 folks when it's fully staffed. We had a fellow move out of state for school. A lady retired to care for her grandkids when her daughter got sick. Then 3 people promote up within the organization, all within 4 weeks' time. So almost one half of the team suddenly became unavailable. While I'm involved in the recruiting onboarding process, management up to 3 levels above me tends to be a bottleneck. Each time someone let me know they were moving on, I informed management and gave them a running total. We're at 84% staffing, we're at 66% staffing, etc. Ads were placed. First round interviews conducted by me and a team lead. Second interviews recommended to the next level of management, and that's where the process suddenly stopped. For a week, then 2, then 3. It commonly takes 2 to 3 weeks after hire to bring a new person up to speed to start being productive, and perhaps 8 weeks for a new person to reach 90 to 95% of median productivity goals. The existing team was ready to pull together and work harder to keep up with the work, but I took each one aside and coached them that the heavy workload they were under was not their problem to solve. Yes, customers were complaining. Yes, other groups in the organization were getting frustrated that our team wasn't getting things done in a timely fashion. I encouraged them to work efficiently and well, but do not put in extra unpaid time or contribute their own resources to projects. And if anyone was insistent in their complaints regarding the team's productivity, send them to me and I would explain the situation. Middle and upper management across the organization started vocalizing about how little work was getting done. When I played the Uno reverse card that, hey, all we need is adequate, well-trained staff and we'll be able to keep up, and managers 1, 2, and probably exec 1 all have potential interviews on their desk for almost a month now, I started getting the stink eye from those folks. I found out later that one or a couple of those folks that I report to, and were also the next rungs on the hiring ladder, had proposed the idea that this team could run just as well a little leaner, so they arranged to find out. Oopsie daisy! Metrics indicated that organizational goals weren't met because of their decisions, but I was able to provide the stats that proved that the team's individual goals were met, and that in many respects per person efficiencies were improved. My team members got their bonus, middle management failed to achieve, so no bonus for them that year. Legitimate Drive 693 says, "Signs of a good manager, not letting your team kill themselves so upper management can get more money. I have seen so many times where they will just leave the team short-staffed until everyone broke themselves trying to keep up." Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe for more and give us a thumbs up.